September the 11th, 2001, a day I'll never forget. And I was in Hawaii at the time working on a seminar with a gentleman called Anthony Robbins. And there was 2,000 people attending this seminar. It was 9 days long. And what happened in New York happened at about 2 o'clock in the morning local time in Hawaii. So we woke up to the news. We also woke up to the realization that 2,000 people were about to have access to the same story, the same news. And our job as leaders in that seminar was to really try and help people reframe that event so that we could get them into the room and allow Tony to come out and work his magic on explaining or finding some empowering meaning as to what it could mean for us. And as you can imagine, people were distraught, people were angry, people were confused, people were scared. There were so many different reactions. And eventually when everybody got into the room, the big question was, would the seminar continue? How could it continue? And Tony came out and he gave a masterful job of really trying to reframe meaning in something so terrible. And we shared many stories at that point, but there was one story that really struck me, and to this day I've never forgotten. In fact, I lived my life through a lot of the lessons that I learned on that day through this story. And it started with a young woman raising her hand and says, I want to share something. She said, I now know the reason why I'm here. She said, 2 years ago, my fiance at the time was killed in a car crash. And she said, you know, the meaning I chose to take out of that was that, meaning most people would take out of that, love, doesn't work. Never get too close to people. Never take anything for granted. Things can get taken away in a heartbeat. Always protect yourself. And she said 6 months after that, about 18 months before, she met a new guy and they started dating, but she was very reserved, always kept her distance, always getting over her story and what had happened to her. And at one point he'd even discussed about wanting to get married, but she wasn't ready. And then she felt a calling to come to the seminar. He didn't really approve. He thought it was some sort of cult thing, and therefore they almost had a fallout, but she insisted on coming, and she did. And she says, I now know why I'm here. I just got a breakthrough last night. She said, last night we had a comedian on stage. Her name is Kathy Buckley, very inspiring lady. And Kathy's got an interesting story. She was born hard of hearing, but unfortunately it was misdiagnosed as retarded. And so she was put in a special school. She was never really given any love, care, or attention. And so she grew up very lonely. And when she was in her teenage years, she was sexually abused by her stepfather. And then when she was in her 20s, she got cancer. In her late 20s, she got cancer again and still survived. And then when she was in her 30s, she was lying on a beach and a lifeguard ran over her face in a 4x4. I mean, you and I think we have problems. And Kathy epitomized at that time somebody that I call in victim mode. She was there letting life happen to her. But at that moment, she realized that she had to take life by the horns. And if she was going to create her life, it had to happen by me, by her. So she stood up and she started to take charge of her life. And she learned that she'd got a gift for making people laugh. She'd learned sign language and how to communicate. So she stepped in for a friend at a comedy show one night and she won a local prize. She went on to go to the regional final and she won that. And things progressed and she got her own little show, and then she wrote a book and she became quite successful. And her story, and she tells it very funnily, but her story has a really powerful message. You cannot dance through life looking in the rearview mirror. You're going to crash and you're going to miss the scenery. You cannot dance into your future with a ball and chain around your leg from the past. That doesn't work. And this woman stood up on the morning of September 11 and said, when I heard Kathy last night, I realized what I've been doing the last 18 months. She said, so I ran back to the room and I called my boyfriend and says, listen, honey, I got my breakthrough. I knew why I was here. The light bulb just went off. When I finish this seminar, we're going to come home. Let's get married. And she left a message on his voicemail, and he called her back the next day and left a message on her voicemail from the 104th floor of the World Trade Center. And he said that the building had just been hit and it was filling up with smoke, and he thought he was going to die. But if he did die, he wouldn't really mind because he just listened to her message, and if that's what it took to get to where they were at, he'd die a happy guy. Now, I listened to that voicemail and I could hear the people screaming in the corridors. And then the line went dead and he went down with the building. And then this woman stood up in front of 2,000 people. Now with every right to turn around and say, hey, look, see, this proves I've been right for the last 2 years. Yeah, you should never get close to people. They can be taken away. Everything I've been living in victim mode is true. But she didn't choose to say that. She chose something else. She got up and she said, I've played that game. I know where that leads. That is a tunnel, yeah, with no cheese. She said, instead, the meaning I'm going to take out of this is that I'm going to live every single day as if it's my last. I'm going to squeeze every drop and every ounce of passion that I can get out of each day and live my life from that place. Why? Because if I'd have done that 2 years ago, I'd have been married by now. And she inspired me and 2,000 other people to take that day and take that event and bond together with more passion, with more team spirit, with more commitment to squeezing the most out of life than we could ever have done in that scenario had we not been inspired. And people still ask me, where were you on 9/11? And I say, with the amount of transformations that we witnessed, with the amount of interventions that we were a part of, with the emotional roller coaster and what could have been an ugly caterpillar turning into such a beautiful butterfly, that has to be without doubt one of the most empowering and inspiring days I've ever had the privilege of living. And all because the message was so simple. It is never, my friends, what happens to us in life. It's always the meaning we choose to give what happens to us that makes the difference. Now, I've been using the lessons that I learned on 9/11 in the last 15 years, coaching people to help them change their story, to help them reframe the disempowering things that have happened to them and turn them into something that can inspire them into their own greatness. And what I found as I've done that one-on-one is that the challenge is there's very few people that naturally walk around in life like that. So if you're able to transform your story, where do you go to find other people that you can relate to that understand that new empowering way of living life? And to answer that, I created a new group. Yeah, it's the group that I'm most proud of being able to create, and it's my private high-end mastermind group called the Master Circle. And the purpose of setting this up was really to bring together people who live life at a higher level, that are able to reframe all of the challenges in life in a way that empowers them and the people around them. But do it in a way that it's not just self-serving, but also within a community so that 1 + 1 could equal 11. And we do that in a very structured format. And not only that, we go away 4 times a year to play together and really deepen this learning experientially in bucket list destinations that people remember for a lifetime. Now, we've designed the Master Circle specifically for people who are very successful in business already. They've probably achieved all the goals that they've thought they needed to tick off in order to have the life they want, but there's something missing. It's like they're carrying that ball and chain around their ankle. Many of them don't even know what it is, but they know there's more to life, and they're just not getting it. Now, the Master Circle, I can take that ball and chain away. That's my job. But it's also for people that want to have other people to dance with. So the community aspect, the group of high-level, high-performing, high-level consciousness people that we become a part of this mastermind group with is really where most of the joy is found once we've got rid of all of the limitations, limiting beliefs, and all the things that were stopping us from finally finding what it is we've spent most of our life working towards. So the Master Circle works in 2 predominant ways. The first is through weekly group coaching calls. And we get onto a very private line where I individually, with you and in a group setting, coach you through what your current challenges and problems are. And you may be listening to somebody who has a challenge that we're working through, and you may get as much out of that than bringing something to the table yourself. Because in all of the years I've been doing this, one thing I found is there's only so many patterns that really stop people. So if you're not even aware of that, it can sometimes be exposed by listening third parties. So that's just as powerful. But whatever you bring to the table, we'll address. Now, it's confidential and it's a safe environment. You have a lot of people supporting you, but it's the only area now where I'm working one-on-one with people in a coaching setting. I don't have any other program where I'm actually doing that. Now, one of the most powerful aspects of the weekly coaching is what happens in between, and that is where we get to communicate with each other in a private, closed Facebook group. And the information that's shared, the solutions that are shared, the insights that are shared are very personal and very powerful. In fact, some people get as much out of the Facebook group as they do on the weekly calls. Now, I'm in there as well, and we're communicating together, but generally speaking, there's as much value from your fellow peers and members of the Master Circle than I can add on my own. So that feels like home. It feels like your tribe. It feels like you've arrived at a group of people that actually understand you and speak the same language, because the information that we discuss is at such a level that you don't really hear it outside on the street. I mean, where do you go and have that kind of conversation? Well, you come here, because this is your new family. Now, while those two core components make up a tremendous amount of value, the real juicy part of the Master Circle is the 4 trips a year that we go away on together. That's right. We structure 4 bucket list trips where we go away and really deep dive and make this real. Really get to know each other personally, and have an absolute blast when it comes to doing things that most people only dream about. Now, these trips happen once a quarter, and they're always in different locations, and usually things that people have been dreaming about their whole life, or stories that you want to create to be able to share with your grandkids. And it could be anywhere from Great Wall of China to Necker Island with Richard Branson. It could be anywhere from the Ice Hotel in Sweden to the Paradise Island in the Bahamas. And the locations are always changing, but the quality of the content is really the most important part. We get together as a high-end group. We really deep dive into the content that we've been going through on the weekly sessions, but also we start teaching some of the highest level content that I know. All of my passion around quantum alignment, how to live life at a permanent level of through me, how to get the doors of opportunity to open before you touch the handle, how to pave the way forward so that the obstacles in your life become stepping stones, not blockages. That is living life as a Master Circle member. And we do it in ways that create incredible memories, magic moments, and we celebrate that as a team of friends and peers that become close for life. That's why this for me is the most exciting part. Let's go make it real. Let's go become friends. Let's go really live life as it should be lived rather than just talk about it. There's also many formal and informal sessions where we talk through things, whether it's over lunch, over dinner, or in the classroom. Half the time we're going to be out experiencing incredible experiences, from things that I'll design and set up to push you past your comfort zone to show you that the limits that you're facing were ghosts, right through to being able to sit down and really delve deep into the issues surrounding all of the aspects of your life that you have questions about. Now, these sessions are also filmed, so you get to take away the memories of a lifetime and really relive the learning. There's also access to things like Dropbox, where we share different aspects of not just pictures and memories, but also tools and techniques and videos that I want to support the learning with, so you have access to a primary resource that you'll always be able to delve into, so it doesn't just last the 5 days. It continues, and then we delve deeper into the weekly calls and accountability as well. Now, obviously, due to the nature of how we design the Master Circle, it's only a small number of people, and these are people you want to choose to either be friends with, or look up to or learn from. And so I'm very conscious about the quality or the type of person that we allow in to join the Master Circle. And this is the ultimate level of peer group adventure and learning combined into one experience. So, we don't want people in there that are not a team fit. So if you're interested in the Master Circle, submit an application. I will personally go through and review that. And if we feel that there's something that we can work together on, I'll have one of my team contact you and take us to the next step.